Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. I thought this would be a pretty fun thing to do since I'm a bit of a glorified 90s kid. Admittedly, okay, maybe I was only actually conscious in the late 90s, so I don't know if that counts. I'm a big fan of 90s fashion, and I was always really inspired by all the cartoons that came out in the 90s, and I mean, I know, what we're looking at here is The Little Mermaid, which came out in the late 80s. I think it was 89. Let me just double check that. Okay, Google, what year did The Little Mermaid come out?
The Little Mermaid came out in the United Kingdom on the 12th of October 1990.
1990, so technically a 90s film. Maybe that was just the UK though. I was never a big fan of Disney princess films as a kid because, you know, my favorite films were Hercules and I used to love 101 Dalmatians. They were just the cutest. And I mean, the art direction on that film is gorgeous. Even tiny me loved the look of that film. But, you know, Glenn Keane worked on Little Mermaid and he's one of my all-time favorite artists and big inspiration to me. But yeah, what I thought I would do is that's a little bit of a fun project that I'm not taking too seriously, but I wanted to do the Disney princesses as sort of 90s kid, school-age girls. So I started with Ariel because it was one of the Disney princess films that I enjoyed more as a kid. And I mean, she didn't even get labeled as a proper Disney princess until very later on. This whole Disney princess thing is a relatively new marketing scheme. I think it was late 90s, maybe early 2000s that was put forward, where all the princesses would be lined up, they wouldn't be looking at each other, wouldn't be acknowledging each other, they just exist together. And it's kind of weird, just for the sake of sort of being pretty. But I liked Ariel. She was pretty headstrong, she was rebellious, and also she had bright red hair, and I absolutely loved her hair. It was so cool. And me being a redhead as a kid, I was thinking, this person is a little bit like me, but not. Her waist is tiny. I mean, there were parts in Little Mermaid that seriously scared me as a kid. I never quite understood why when she signed her name on the deal, if she was able to write that in English, then surely she'd be able to write out her name for the prince? I don't know, maybe there was some magic spell on that too, but I digress. So as a teenager, you know, Ariel's supposed to be 16 in the film, so this fits in pretty well with kind of high school-y age. But I thought that she's not quite rebel on the kind of same scale that Merida and Mulan would be, because I think they're a lot more hard-going than she would be. But I think she's the kind of person that would have been coddled as a kid and a little bit on the preppy side because her parents want her to look good and be presentable, but she's still got this like wild streak in her. So I wanted her to be sort of looking out for adventure. And I mean, it's pretty simple, standard pose, but I kind of assembled it with the thought that I could have her standing with the others and they can all just sort of be assembled in a scene, interacting with each other, which could be quite fun. So I put her hair up because I thought it's a little bit more of a preppy look, but I kind of kept it a little bit unkempt at the end. You know, it looks like she's put it up because it's to please her parents, but or her dad, her precious father. But she doesn't care enough to have done it like super tidily. She's still, you know, a bit on the hot-headed side. I wanted her to look semi-beachy because there was a point in the video where I put her in flip-flops, or sandals at least, and then I sort of backtrack on this because I was going to split her outfits into a summer version and a winter version, but then I just got sidetracked and I realized it lost a bit of the character with this big puffer jacket, and I was like, what is this actually selling as part of the character's character? And it didn't really work, so I just thought, you know what, okay, maybe she's just one of these people that is just warm all the time. You know those kinds of people, you know, they'll be in a room where everybody's in sweaters and they'll just be boiling and be like, is it warm in here? It's just me. And then you're like, yeah, it's just you. Same goes for cold people. I'm one of those cold people, but I also enjoy the cold, so yeah, so I put her in some high-waisted shorts, and I mean, I call this 90s fashion, but it could very well fit into what people wear as trends now, because I like this kind of day and age where like you could pretty much wear anything from any decade, and as long as you sort of have a bit of knowledge in combining colors, you can make anything work, honestly. And as long as you have the confidence to pull it off, it's just like, well, whatever goes. So I've given her a sort of semi, not quite a choker, but it's, I was going to give her one of those shell necklaces, but then I couldn't be bothered to look it up to reference it to draw. But you know the ones I mean, the very sort of stacked up white shells that a lot of surfers wore. But I just gave her sort of a double necklace with one with a shell on the end. And of course she's got her shell bag because we didn't want to, because I have seen t-shirts with the print of the shells, like where her bikini would be. But I just thought, that's a very niche thing that people sort of wear as like casual Disney cosplay. So I thought just plain t-shirt. Looking back on it now, I kind of feel like maybe I should have like had a more ecological theme on it. You know, like Save Our Oceans or something like that, because she seems like the kind of person who would be kind of pushy enough to be trying to rally people to support being environmentally friendly and looking after animals. I gave her an iconic purple scrunchie as well. I sort of played around with putting this as a green color, but I thought, oh, there's not so much purple on this, so I made it purple instead. But yeah, she's just sort of got she's got a loose crop top, she's got some high-waisted shorts, and I was going to do them blue because I thought, you know, it's not often that you actually find colored denim, but it just fits so well, like just doing it in her tail color, it just works so well, and I think it looks great. Same with her Converse, I just made it sort of a light green, which is like her fins. I was playing around with the idea of putting her in hiking boots because I thought if she's that adventurous, then she'd probably wear something a little bit more substantial on her feet. But then Converse seems like good middle ground because I put her in sandals, and then I feel like maybe Doc Martens kind of boots is a little bit too far the other way as well if I want to keep her looking preppy. A little bit preppy anyway. But I'll certainly save that for other characters, which I'm really excited to do. So I kept with her I pretty much kept with her original color scheme. I was thinking maybe should I try and make it look more realistic and give her ginger hair, like undyed hair, but I feel like she'd be, if her hair wasn't natural, I feel like she'd be the kind of person that would be rebellious enough to dye her hair anyway. Like Dad says no, but I'm gonna do it anyway because it doesn't affect people that much. But just based on visuals out of the Disney princesses, or at least their Disney princess lineup, Ariel's one of my favorites just because she's quite unusual looking with her very pale skin and her bright red hair. I just love that look. I think it looks really cool. There's definitely potential for her to be a lot more of a punky character, but maybe that's something she discovers when she's moved away from her parents or like moved into like a college or a university dorm. Maybe that's when she starts playing around with being more punky. I just feel like as a 16-year-old, she's probably a little bit more sheltered and wants to go out into the world, but her parents are just like, nah. So I also toyed around with, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to just leave it like a sketchy, like a textured line, or whether I wanted to color it. And in the end, I did color the lines. Fussed about a little bit too much with the shading and getting things perfectly on it when I could have been a lot more loose and not worried about it as much, and it would have still turned out fine. But also, I always get in this habit of doing characters a certain way, and I definitely want to move towards being a lot more graphic with my art style and really pushing shapes. And I've definitely played it safe with this one, so that's something that I'm gonna bear in mind. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna revisit this piece of art maybe a few months down the line and see how I can turn it into something and really push the pose, push the character, and see what else I come up with. But you know, whenever you make a piece of art, it's always a positive experience, regardless of whether you like it or not, because you're always moving towards developing yourself as an artist. You're learning new things, whether that's good or bad. It's just you're constantly progressing, and that's what art is all about. It's about the journey, it's not about the end result. So here's the finished piece. I was pretty impressed with it, but like I said, I definitely want to consider pushing a character's pose and simplifying it a little bit in future. I just got a bit too carried away with the details. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing and helping this channel grow, because it helps support my main animator channel. So comment down below what character would you like to see in a kind of 90s fashion style? Is it another Disney princess? Is it Pegasus? I'd love to see what ideas you come up with. And who knows, maybe I'll pick one of them for the next video. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Oh, my legs hurt so much. Ah.